Good morning. Hope everyone is doing well. My name's Tracy. I'm going to start us off with just a few announcements. Welcome to Cedar Bridge. If it is your first time joining us, we are so glad to have you, and we're glad to have those of you watching online as well. Okay, a few things going on this week. Thursday, during the summer, we have Theology on Tap, which is just an opportunity to get together and fellowship and hang out in a relaxed sort of summertime setting. And so that will be Thursday at Local Oak at 6:30. A great way to just get to know people. On Saturday, June 27th, we're going to have a work day. So we've moved into our new space, and many of you did a lot of prep work and several work days to get us ready to be in our new space, but there's still just a few outstanding things that we'd like to take care of. So anyone who is willing and able to join us on Saturday from 9 to 12, there are a list of tasks that we'd like to tackle for our next workday. So hopefully you can join us. Next Sunday, there's a lot going on. So we hope that you'll be here with us. There are special events taking place. So on our regular worship Sunday, it's going to be a baptism Sunday. So we're going to be really excited about baptizing some of our Cedar Bridge family members, and that is going to take place outside, so just an FYI on that part, and we are gathering tents to help create some shade, but that will take place outside, and then it will be our first Summer at Cedar Bridge Sunday. So during the summer months, we like to do just very casual, fun, kind of hangout events at the end of worship on Sundays as an opportunity to just linger a little bit longer after church on Sundays and get to know each other better. And so that will be our first Summer at Cedar Bridge event, and it will be popsicles and ice cream. So after we've been outside for baptism, then we'll be able to cool off with some popsicles and ice cream. And then on the same Sunday, that afternoon at 3 p.m., Cedar Bridge is going to be the host site for the Interfaith Pride Service, which is part of Pride Month for Greenville and Pitt County. And so we invite you and anyone in the community to come and join us for the Interfaith Pride Service at 3 p.m. And in the newsletter, you will find all of the Summer at Cedar Bridge events, all the fun things that we have planned, like wiffle ball and Nerf gun battles and water wars. It's always a lot of fun. There's also a couple of save the dates in the newsletter. About quarterly, we do Celebration Sundays where we just kind of lump everything together and have an opportunity to celebrate any, weddings, babies, exciting events. And on July 12th, we'll have a Celebration Sunday, and we'll be celebrating 2 babies and 1 wedding. And all of the information's in the newsletter with their registries if you'd like to provide a gift. And then please save the date for Vacation Bible School. This will be our first VBS in our new space, so we're excited about that. The theme is Rainforest Falls. It will be July 26th through 29th. There is a link to register in the newsletter, and that link is for both kids to register to attend and for volunteers to register. And it takes a lot of volunteers to put on Vacation Bible School. We need volunteers to lead stations. We need volunteers to be group leaders with the kids. We need people to do snacks and check-in and all of the things. So please volunteer. Even if you're only available 1 or 2 nights, you can still sign up to volunteer and just put that in the comments. And if you just want to know more, you can talk to me or Abby about VBS, and we'll be glad to give you all the details. Okay, and we'll get started now.
Good morning, everybody, and happy Father's Day to all the fathers in here. And if you would please stand with us and sing as we begin our worship this morning. darkness tries to roll over my bones, when sorrow comes to steal the joy I own, when brokenness and pain is all I know, oh, I won't be shaken. No, I won't be shaken. 'Cause my fear doesn't stand a chance when I stand in your love. My fear doesn't stand a chance when I stand in your love. My fear doesn't stand a chance when I stand in your love. Shame no longer has a place to hide. For I am not a captive to the lies. I'm not afraid to leave my past behind. Oh, I won't be shaken. No, I won't be shaken. Doesn't stand a chance when I stand in your love. My fear doesn't stand a chance when I stand in your love. My fear doesn't stand a chance when I stand in your love. Oh, I'm standing. There's power that can break off every chain. There's power that can empty out a grave. There's resurrection power that can save. There's power in your name. There's power in your name. There's power that can break off every chain. There's power that can empty out a grave. There's resurrection power that can save. There's power in your name. There's power in your name. Doesn't stand a chance when I stand in your love. My fear doesn't stand a chance when I stand in your love. My fear doesn't stand a chance when I stand in your love. Oh, when I'm standing in your love, oh, my fear doesn't stand a chance when I stand in your love. My fear doesn't stand a chance when I stand in your love. My fear doesn't stand a chance when I stand in your love.
Join me in this call to worship. Today we come before the God who sees. When Hagar found herself alone in the wilderness, God saw her. When Ishmael cried out in desperation, God heard him. When hope seemed lost and the future uncertain, God opened a way forward. There are moments when we feel forgotten, moments when life leaves us wandering through unfamiliar places. Yet the God we worship is attentive to every cry, present in every wilderness, and faithful in every season. Come, let us worship the God who sees, hears, and provides.
Well, I know who I am, 'cause I know who you are. cross of salvation was only the start. And now I am chosen, I'm free and forgiven. Well, I have a future, and it's worth the living. 'Cause I wasn't made to be tending a grave. I was called by name, born and raised back to life again. And I was made for more. So why would I make a bed in my shame when a fountain of grace is running my way? I know I am yours, and I was made for more. Well, I know who I am, 'cause I know who you are. The cross of salvation was only the start. And now I am chosen, I'm free and forgiven. Well, I have a future, and it's worth the living. 'Cause I wasn't made to be tending a grave. I was called by name, and born and raised back to life again. And I was made for more. So why would I make a bed in my shame when a fountain of grace is running my way? I know I am yours, and I was made for more. Hallelujah, you called out my name, so I'll sing out your praise. Hallelujah, you buried my past, so I'm not going back. Hallelujah, you called out my name, so I'll sing out your praise. Hallelujah, you buried my past, so I'm not going back. 'Cause I wasn't made to be tending a grave. I was called by name, and born and raised back to life again. And I was made for more. So why would I make a bed in my shame when a fountain of grace is running my way? I know I am yours, and I was made for more. Oh, I know I am yours, and I was made for more. Amen. Please be seated.
You're good. Well, good morning, friends. Thank you. It is great to see you all here this morning. The official beginning of summer. the summer solstice, Father's Day. There's a lot happening today outside of even the church world. I know on days like this, especially Father's Day, Mother's Day, I just want to acknowledge that there can be a lot happening, a lot of celebration, a lot of grief, a lot of mixed emotions. So whatever you bring into this space, it's welcome here, and we're just glad that you are here. And this is the summer solstice, the longest day of the year. We're halfway through, yes. If you are over 2026 already, you are halfway done. And if you're loving it, then you got half of a year left of it. So there's something for everybody. We are continuing in our Anything But Ordinary series today, where we are walking through some of the major stories in the Abrahamic family line. They're going to be familiar stories that you've probably heard. We're seeing in this series that God keeps showing up in positive experiences and in negative experiences. God keeps showing up. We like to put God in spaces that we label as holy. God, this is where you are. This is the rest of my life. But that's not how God works. God is in every space in our life, even the places that we try to keep God out of sometimes. And that is what we are seeing. God shows up in the ordinary stuff. So today's story is one out of the Abrahamic family line that is just plain difficult. God's people do terrible things to each other. It's difficult to hear, difficult to walk through, but we will see that God hears the voices that others cast out. We're going to look at Genesis chapter 21. I'm going to go ahead and read verses 8 through 21. The child grew and was weaned. This is talking about Isaac, Abraham and Sarah's son. The child grew and was weaned, and Abraham made a great feast on the day that Isaac was weaned. But Sarah saw the son of Hagar the Egyptian, whom she had borne to Abraham, playing with her son Isaac. So she said to Abraham, "Cast out this slave woman and her son, for the son of this slave woman shall not inherit along with my son Isaac." The matter was very distressing to Abraham on account of Ishmael being his son. But God said to Abraham, "Do not be distressed because of the boy and because of your slave woman. Whatever Sarah says to you, do as she tells you, for it is through Isaac that offering shall be named to you. As for the son of the slave woman, I'll make a nation of him also, because he is your offspring." So Abraham rose early in the morning and took bread and a skin of water and gave it to Hagar, putting it on her shoulder along with the child, and sent her away. And she departed and wandered about in the wilderness of Beersheba. When the water in the skin was gone, she cast the child under one of the bushes. Then she went and sat down opposite him a good way off, about a distance of a bow shot, for she said, "Do not let me look on the death of the child." As she sat opposite him, she lifted her voice and wept. And God heard the voice of the boy. And the angel of God called to Hagar from heaven and said to her, "What troubles you, Hagar? Do not be afraid, for God has heard the voice of the boy where he is. Come, lift up the boy and hold him fast with your hand, for I'll make a great nation of him." Then God opened her eyes, and she saw a well of water. She went and filled the skin with water and gave the boy a drink. God was with the boy, and he grew up. He lived in the wilderness and became an expert with the bow. He lived in the wilderness of Paran, and his mother got a wife for him from the land of Egypt. Friends, this story is difficult. It really is. It's difficult because there are really no heroes here. Abraham fails. Sarah has failed. Ishmael is paying the price for decisions that he had nothing to do with, that he never made. Yet in the middle of this painful family drama, God shows up. And God shows up not for the powerful, but for those that were cast aside. In our story last week, we stood with Abraham and Sarah as laughter filled their tent. First, laughter of disbelief when an angel told these elderly folks they were going to have a baby on their own. Then it turned to laughter of joy as Abraham and Sarah welcomed their child Isaac into their lives. Then, after years of waiting, years of disappointment, years of wondering whether God's promise would be true, Isaac was born. They'd been promised this descendant years before. And finally, they saw it come true. The impossible had happened. The promise that they had was fulfilled. And it would be nice if that was all there was to this story. But as families go, that's rarely the case. And I appreciate that the Bible is honest enough to give us the whole picture here. Because while Isaac's birth brings joy to Sarah, it also exposes wounds that had not been fully healed from her past. The celebration becomes a conflict. The blessing becomes a crisis. Before the story is over, there's a mother and her child who are wandering in the desert, who have been cast out, abandoned, and alone. This is not a comfortable story, and maybe that's why we need to look at it. Because Genesis reminds us over and over that God doesn't just show up in the joyful moments. God shows up in the wilderness. And this is a story that begins long before what we just read in Genesis 21. See, years before, God promised Sarah would have a son. Years before, the angelic guests that we talked about last week met them in the tent and say, yes, y'all are going to have a baby. You and Abraham, Sarah, you together. Years before, a really crucial part of the story takes place. Shortly after what we read in Genesis 12, where God calls Abraham to leave his life in Ur and go into this land that God would show him. And God promises, you will have descendants as numerous as the skies. And Abraham and Sarah hear this promise, believe this promise, and wait for this to come true. Wait for this descendant. And Sarah, shortly after that, says, it doesn't look like this is going to happen. We're going to take this into our own hands. She suggests Abraham lie with her slave girl Hagar, to take Hagar as he would take Sarah, his wife, and if any child that became of this union, then that child would belong to Sarah. This was very common practice in ancient civilizations. Concubines and slaves were forced into bearing children. A lot of times they didn't want, and they became the owners of the slaves' property. Before you think, how barbaric, it's also very common that this happened when slavery was practiced regularly in our own country. So we haven't evolved as much as we think we have sometime. But Abraham went to the slave girl Hagar and conceived a son. Though this was Sarah's idea, as soon as the child was in Hagar's belly, Sarah hated Hagar, and Hagar hated Sarah because Sarah treated her harshly. It was so bad that Hagar ran away as a pregnant woman into the wilderness. God met Hagar in the wilderness then and called out to her, said, Hagar, why are you running? Tell me your story. Then God told Hagar, go back. Go back to this place. Your child will be protected. I will protect you. I see you. I will protect you. And Hagar went back. The child was born. The child was named Ishmael. During Hagar's conversation with God, Hagar told God, you are El Roi, the God who sees. This is the first person in Scripture that we see in Genesis to name God. It was not a patriarch. It was not somebody like Abraham, Noah, Adam. It was Hagar. It was a cast-out slave girl. She named God, somebody with no power, alone in the wilderness. And I think it's worth noting this, a woman who felt seen enough by God to name God when she was being silenced by everyone around her. And someone thought that was important enough to write down. I think it's worth noting this revelation for Hagar. It didn't come in the middle of comfortable experiences. It didn't come in the middle of a large group. It happened when Hagar was pushed all the way outside the group. The place of clarity a lot of times is not when we're in the middle of resources and established structure. The place of clarity is often when we are stripped of all of that and we are in a place that we don't choose and we don't control, and that's when we sometimes can hear God the clearest. God sees us always, friends. God shows up. Sometimes God shows up the most vividly when God's people have been the worst, as that story shows. This isn't unique to Hagar's story either. Moses meets God in the wilderness, not just on a road trip. He was running because he had just murdered someone. Elijah meets God in the silence after he's run away for his life. We see this over and over, and this pattern occurs because crisis does something in the middle of us that comfort cannot. It pricks us open. It strips away our performance. It strips away how we try to portray ourselves, and it gets us down to the very core of who we are. And it's often because of a mess that we're forced into a quiet place. In that quiet place, we hear God. God sees, God hears, and God acts. So this happened years earlier because Abraham and Sarah grew tired of waiting for this promise from God. And they attempted to solve this problem completely on their own. And trying to solve this problem just created a new problem for Abraham and Sarah now. So years later, when Sarah and Abraham have a child of their own, these old wounds begin to bubble up and resurface. In our story today, Sarah sees Ishmael laughing at the feast celebrating Isaac's weaning. Historically, in this time period, babies weren't really fully celebrated until they stopped nursing and began to live life as an older child. And there was often a feast, a celebration. The Hebrew text here says Ishmael was simply laughing. There's a lot of scholarly debate as to what was actually happening here, but there's no indication in the text that Ishmael was threatening Isaac or harming him. But Sarah sees something different. Maybe she sees competition. This kid shouldn't get the firstborn inheritance. He's not my firstborn. Maybe she sees insecurity. Now Abraham has 2 sons. What if he loves Hagar's son more than my son? Maybe she sees a reminder of old pain. I didn't trust God enough, and we did this, and now look what we're dealing with. Sarah does not want to see this son of her slave girl, this reminder of all this sorrow and woundedness and pain. She doesn't want to see him inherit anything along with her own son. Her disdain for Hagar and Ishmael are really apparent in the way that she even refers to them. The text says, Sarah said, "Cast out this slave woman with her son, for the son of the slave woman shall not inherit along with my son, who she names Isaac." She doesn't say the names Hagar. She doesn't say the names Ishmael. She doesn't say, cast Hagar and Ishmael out. She says, this slave woman, cast her out. This son, cast him out. Friends, if we're real honest with ourselves, we can see that pain often makes us forget the humanity of other people. Privilege has a way of blinding us to the suffering of other people. Sarah is not the villain here, but she's also not innocent. She's both a victim of a terrible situation and an oppressor. And if we're honest, most of us know something about that. Sometimes the people who've been the most wounded become people who wound others. If we don't deal with our own wounds, our own pain, friends, if we don't do the work, whatever that work looks like, therapy, emotional regulation, forgiveness, reconciliation, whatever is needed, then it's very easy for our pain to bleed out and harm other people and become someone else's burden. You see this in generational family trauma over and over and over. When it's not healed with one generation, it's passed on to the next generation. And before long, people are suffering from things that happened decades ago. Richard Rohr says that if we do not transform our pain, we can easily transmit our pain. That's an easy way to remember that. If we don't transform our pain, allow God to transform our pain, it's easy to transmit that to other people. We have to deal with our own junk so that we don't pass it on to those around us. And this includes all the junk that we were handed to that has nothing to do with us. We get lucky us. We get to deal with that too. And sometimes it is out of the best desires. The desire that Sarah had here was to protect her son. There's nothing wrong with that. Her desire was to protect her son. Sometimes our desire to protect our own family causes us to overlook the humanity of all the other families around us. Privilege can bind us, or blind us to other people's pain. We get caught up in this, if it's not happening to me, then it's not really happening. And in this instance, Sarah and Abraham are absolutely people of privilege. They have food, they have servants, they have material possessions, and they absolutely have a lot of pain. And pain has a way of narrowing our vision till it is all we can see. Friends, this story is messy because we as people are messy. Abraham is messy, Sarah's messy, Hagar's messy, the whole family is messy, yet God keeps showing up. And maybe that is the good news that we need to take away today, that God chooses messy people to do what needs to be done, because messy people are the only option that we have. So for the second time in her life, let's think about Hagar. Hagar's in the wilderness. Take 2. She's been here once. She's sent away this time with some bread and a skin of water. So think, here's your Aquafina water bottle and go on your way into the desert for 2 people. It's not very much sustenance. Also, for the second time, Hagar is visited by God in the wilderness. Genesis 21, verse 17 says, "And God heard the voice of the boy." In Hebrew, the first few syllables of this verse, "and God heard," are the name Ishmael. God hears, God heard. And it's the only time in this passage that Ishmael's name appears. And it's like the writer was trying to remind us, God hears, God hears. God hears the cries of the outcast and abandoned. God hears and God has compassion. So the angel of the Lord speaks to Hagar, and angels say what this angel said, what they always say: do not fear. Don't be afraid, though things seem hopeless. Take this child in your arms. I have heard his cries. I'll save him. I'll make him a great nation. God hears Ishmael and Hagar in the wilderness. Not because Ishmael is powerful, not because Hagar belongs to the line of Abraham, not because they have status or influence. God hears because God is compassionate. God hears because God pays attention to those whom the world overlooks. And the Hebrew wording here is important because another word used in this passage is shema, the word for hear. It's the same word used in Deuteronomy 6 when Moses tells the Israelites, "Hear, O Israel, the Lord your God is one. The Lord your God is one. You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength." Those verses are so important that the Jews call that whole passage the Shema. And Shema, by definition, means hearing in a way that leads you to action. Not just hearing and hearing and doing, kind of together as one unit. God doesn't merely acknowledge and listen to suffering. God responds. God acts. God opens up Hagar's eyes to see a well that, whether it was there or not before, she could not see. The miracle is really not that a well appeared in the desert. The miracle is that God helps Hagar see it. And sometimes I think grace arrives like that for each of us. Not by changing our circumstances immediately, but by opening our eyes to see what is around us, to see what's already there. So this story also offers a really important theological correction that we can get if we read the Old Testament enough. Too often we read through the Bible getting the impression that God's love somehow belongs only to these chosen people, especially in the Hebrew text, the Old Testament. There's so much talk about God's chosen ones. God has chosen the Israelite people. The Israelites are the chosen people. And by default, we can begin to think, okay, if some are chosen, then that means some are not. But Genesis, I love this about Genesis. Genesis absolutely refuses to let that interpretation stand. Because think about this. Yes, God makes promises to Isaac, but God also makes promises to Ishmael. God makes promises and blesses Sarah, but God also makes promises and blesses Hagar. Yes, God is present with Abraham's immediate family, and God is present with those, that immediate family, exiled outside of camp. This is not about who's in or who's out or who's loved or who's not. That is never up for debate according to Scripture. The idea of being chosen in Genesis is always connected to being a blessing for other people. Genesis 12, when God called Abraham to go and start this new journey in a new land, go and I'll bless you. The tagline at the end was, so you will be a blessing for others. This is not about blessing some and leaving some behind. It's about giving people different roles. And God gave Abraham's family the role to take their blessing and bless other people. Being chosen was never in Genesis about being somebody's life being more valuable than someone else. It was never about possessing more love than someone else. And as the church, we need to remember that, because a calling to be a church is not a badge of superiority. Our faith is not proof God loves us more. Blessing is not something for us to hoard, friends. We are blessed so we become a blessing for other people. We are loved so that we love. We are seen so that we might see others. We are heard so that we may hear others. Which really leads us to an uncomfortable question, quite honestly. Because if God hears the Hagars and the Ishmaels, then we have to ask ourselves, do we? Do we hear the voices of those who've been pushed outside? Do we hear the voices of people who've been told over and over that they don't belong? Do we hear the voices of those living on the margins? Do we hear the voices of those who've been wounded by religion or wounded by family? Do we hear the voices of those whose pain makes us uncomfortable? God does not simply see and hear, God acts, friends. And if we claim to follow God, then our job is to try to do the same thing. God holds true these covenant promises that God made with Abraham, while also refusing to ignore the cries of those that were pushed to the margins. The God who hears Ishmael in the wilderness listens for those voices that are called out and calls for us to listen for those voices that are cast out as well. And I want us to remember that the final word in this story is not abandonment. That we can walk away with that overarching theme. The final word is not abandonment, it's not rejection, it's not wilderness. The final word is God hears, God sees, God shows up. God shows up here in the wilderness with this forgotten child, with this cast out mom, with the people everyone else had written off and said, you don't deserve to be in this space. So I want us to hear this clearly, church. If you're in the middle of a wilderness, God sees you. If you feel forgotten, God hears you. If you've been pushed aside, God sees you. And if you can't see a way forward, God may be already working a well to open your eyes to. A well that we have not noticed that was there. May it be so, friends. May it be so. We have the privilege today to ordain our fourth deacon in the Cedar Bridge family. We were able to ordain 3 others earlier this summer, and we get to ordain Courtney Spence today. So Courtney, I'll call you forward. I'm going to have you come on up, and any family beloveds that want to come with you, they are welcome to come or stand up even to show their support for you. So friends and family in our congregation, absolutely stand up, please. You're welcome to come up here or stand there. Either way is good. Friends and family in the congregation, it is our honor to call, to elect, to recognize our deacons. And that is what we would like to do today. I have a liturgy that should be coming up on the screen for you to follow, along with a time where we'll have a time of prayer. And just to remind you, our deacons are elected by our church. In the Baptist church, we can elect, absolutely, we can elect and call whoever we would like to serve as deacons. And so it is an honor and a privilege for our deacons, and they are extensions of all of our ministry services. So I'll lead us in this litany of installation and ordination for Courtney. Today we acknowledge your gifts, Courtney, your calling, your preparation, and readiness for the position of leadership and service as a deacon in the faith community of Cedar Bridge Baptist Church. Your calling is to bear witness to the beautiful and broken world in which we live, to see the suffering and the weaknesses, to hold these pieces alongside the beauty and the magnificence, the joy and the life-filled that humanity can be.
I accept this call to service and will bring forth my whole self as I serve. I trust that God will enable me to see the needs and extend love to my church community and to my community at large.
Congregation and families, we acknowledge your call.
With God's help, I commit to this position of service and will continue to listen deeply to God's voice in my own life and in the lives of others. I will ask honest questions, challenge complacency in myself and others, and continue learning and growing with God as I serve.
Would you pray with me, family? God, may we, all of us, your people, learn to speak courageously. May we learn to be and become who you've called us to be. When we learn, may we seek to share what we learn with others. When we find food, may we seek to bring others to the table. When we are sitting, may we always add extra chairs. When we walk, give us your eyes to see and your vision to share with others. Above all, help us to extend your love. Amen. Friends and family, you can sit back down. Courtney, you stay right here. We're going to bring a chair up. And one thing that we like to do during, thank you, Roger, our ordination installation services is give you an opportunity, the church family, to come by and pray, say a word with Courtney, so that she'll be sitting up here during our response time. There are other ways that you can respond as well. We have a basket in the back with note cards. If you'd like to jot a note or a special verse for Courtney, you can do that back on the back table. Our offering basket is on the back table as well. If giving is a part of your worship, we are honored to take that and use that in our community. We have our prayer request basket as well on the back table, and we have a prayer team that prays regularly once a month that meets together and then continually prays for the requests that you leave for us. So if you would like for us to join you in prayer, we would be honored to do that. And I'll be standing at the back to speak with you or talk with you if you would like to come by and speak or have a prayer or set up a time to meet, I'll be happy to set that up. We have our covenant partner list at the back as well, and the way that we do membership and covenant partners at Cedar Bridge is this. You come in the door and we consider you a ministry partner, and we want you to be involved in whatever way you want to be. You can work in the children's ministry, you help with the praise band, greeters, servers. There are so many ways that you can get involved. But if you'd like to do things like vote on deacons or vote on church matters or serve as a deacon, then we ask that you make your relationship with us a little more official and join as a covenant partner. And you can do that by signing the list in the back. This response time is for you. So I invite you to respond as you feel led. Our praise team is coming up as well, and will lead us in a few more songs and give you time to respond.
Let's try that. Please stand and sing with us. Oh, I've heard 1,000 stories of what they think you're like, but I've heard the tender whisper of love in the dead of night, and you tell me that you're pleased and that I'm never alone. You're a good, good Father. It's who you are. It's who you are. It's who you are, and I'm loved by you. It's who I am. It's who I am. It's who I am. Oh, and I've seen many searching for answers far and wide, but I know we're all searching for answers. Only you provide, 'cause you know just what we need before we say a word. You're a good, good Father. It's who you are. It's who you are. It's who you are, and I'm loved by you. It's who I am. It's who I am. It's who I am. 'Cause you are perfect in all of your ways. You are perfect in all of your ways. You are perfect in all of your ways to us. You are perfect in all of your ways. You are perfect in all of your ways. You are perfect in all of your ways to us. Oh, it's love so undeniable, I can hardly speak. so unexplainable. I can hardly think as you call me, deeper still as you call me, deeper still as you call me, deeper still into love, love, love. You're a good, good Father. That's who you are. It's who you are, it's who you are, and I'm loved by you. It's who I am, it's who I am, it's who I am. You're a good, good Father. It's who you are, it's who you are, it's who you are, and I'm loved by you. It's who I am, it's who I am, it's who I am. He is jealous for me. He loves like a hurricane. I am a tree bending beneath the weight of his wind and mercy. When all of a sudden I am unaware of these afflictions eclipsed by glory, and I realize just how beautiful you are and how great your affections are for me. And oh, how he loves us so. Oh, how he loves us, how he loves us so. And he is jealous for me. He loves like a hurricane. I am a tree bending beneath the weight of his wind and mercy. When all of a sudden I am unaware of these afflictions eclipsed by glory, and I realize just how beautiful you are and how great your affections are for me. And oh, how he loves us so. Oh, how he loves us, how he loves us so. He loves us. Oh, how he loves us. Oh, how he loves us. Oh, how he loves. And we are his portion, and he is our prize, drawn to redemption by the grace in his eyes. If his grace is an ocean, we're all sinking. And heaven meets earth like an unforeseen kiss, and my heart turns violently inside of my chest. And I don't have time to maintain these regrets when I think about the way Yeah, he loves us. Oh, how he loves us. Oh, how he loves us. Oh, how he loves.
Go now into the ordinary days ahead, trusting that the God of Abraham and Sarah still brings hope where hope seems lost. Go knowing that the God who saw Hagar in the wilderness, who met Jacob in the night, who walked with Joseph through betrayal, and who called Moses from the burning bush, is with you wherever you go. When the road is uncertain, may you trust God's promises. When life feels messy, may you recognize God's presence. When you wrestle with doubt, may you discover God's blessing. And when you least expect it, may you be surprised by the moment of the Holy Spirit, who is always at work making the ordinary anything but ordinary. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy